Okay.
Sup, everybody? Welcome back.
Started.
We are here for another review. I'm David. That's Alex.
No.
Bonnie Paul is still not here. Don't know where he is. We've tried contacting, so we'll keep trying. Where do you think he is, Alex, if you had to put money on it?
I mean, if I had to put money on it, it's going to be at home. Just sleeping. Because we're recording this at 10 p.m.
I feel like if I had to put money on it, yes, at home, but probably playing Halo.
I would say sleeping.
I don't think he's sleeping yet. I
sleeping.
feel like he's... Do you think he's sleeping?
I do.
We'll check this later. We'll check later. We will check on Discord to see if he's sleeping. But yeah. I guess quick announcement. We're going to try to make a transition to focus more on podcasting than YouTube. Yes. In the sense, we'll still put out videos on YouTube, but it won't be our main priority. It's more so just because we're so busy in our own lives. It takes a while to edit these videos, get the audio in sync and everything. So I think for us, it makes more sense to prioritize podcast first, because then we can just record and put the audio out there, right?
Yeah, with minimal editing.
Yeah, I mean, we'll still put YouTube videos out, but it probably will be in more short, like, little sections from the podcast that we recorded. Yeah, little snippets. But yeah, we actually just got back yesterday from watching The Flash, which is not a movie we're reviewing right now. We're actually going to be talking about Spider-Verse, Across the Spiderverse, which Alex and I got to watch together.
We did.
At the AMC Dine-In in Sunnyvale. It was Alex's first time.
Yeah, it was actually. It was nice.
Yes, and I remember it. I got the Guardians of Galaxy alcoholic drink.
Yeah, how was that?
It was not good. You remember? I didn't even finish it.
No, only a couple sips.
I mean, okay. Here's the thing. So the drink itself is like, I think they said it has screwball whiskey, like peanut butter whiskey or something like that. Yeah. So the whole idea of the drink was for it to be like a peanut butter jelly, because you also had like this sweet soda jam kind of added to it. But it's like, if you've ever tried to make peanut butter cookies for a dog, and I know this is a weird analogy because it's not an analogy. I've done this. But if you've ever tried to make peanut butter cookies for a dog, and then you try to taste the cookies, the peanut butter of the drink tasted similar to the cookies, where it's like, it's somewhat there in the peanut butter realm, but there's nothing there that makes it a satisfying taste. Like, it's not savory to any degree. It just kind of like it tastes like it tries to build up the peanut butter and jelly, but it doesn't get there. So yeah. It was like just this harsh, to me, it was like a harsh, just disgusting taste. And generally, I like to drink mixed drinks at the theater. I like to get specialty drinks at the movie theater because I like to feel like I'm being immersed into the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did not like the drink, but I enjoyed the movie. What did we get? We got tater tots, right? I think we got tater tots.
Yeah, we got loaded tater tots.
Yes. Well, you got the loaded tater tots. I got the loaded tater tots and the churro. I remember sharing a churro with you, and you accidentally dipped your finger into the whipped cream.
The icing or whatever, only because it was dark, and David's like, "You want a churro?" I was like, "I guess."
Sorry if you heard that noise. It was from the dryer. But yeah, I guess we can get right into it. Honestly, do you want to do you want to read out the synopsis? I can read out the synopsis.
Yeah, you can read out the synopsis. I don't need the practice.
All right. So, moving on with our actual review, let's start with the movie synopsis. For Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse, after reuniting with Gwen Stacy, Brooklyn's full-time friendly neighborhood Spider-Man is catapulted across the multiverse, where he encounters a team of spider people charged with protecting its very existence. However, when the heroes clash on how to handle a new threat, Miles finds himself pitted against the other spiders. He must soon redefine what it means to be a hero so he can save the people he loves most.
Well said.
Thank you. How much did the movie actually make? Because we watched this movie 3 weeks ago, right? I'm kind of curious how much it's made now. Let me look
let's
it
look
up.
into that.
According to Wikipedia, or technically Google, but it's grabbing the information from Wikipedia. It's made about it box office wise total $494 million.
Wow.
So it's not bad,
That's
you know.
pretty good.
But I mean, it also makes sense because you have other movies coming out like the week after and whatnot. But yeah, it's not bad. So far, it's still going strong. So I guess I'll start off with my notes of what I put for the movie. Let's start off with
your notes.
Should we make this a spoiler review or a non-spoiler? I mean, it's gonna be a podcast anyway. You want us to just start off with like the non-spoilery parts, or?
Yeah, we just have the non-spoilery and then go into the spoilers.
All right, sounds good.
Just make it one
podcast. I guess the first thing we could talk about, at least I put on my notes, that things that I enjoyed. I really like that it builds on the previous film.
Yeah, same.
You know, it's like the way the movie Into the Spider-Verse, because this isn't really a spoiler. I mean, I guess we're not really spoiling any plot, but the way Into the Spider-Verse makes it seem is as if it's only been a couple months and Miles Morales sees Gwen again, right? Yeah. But in the actual movie itself, Across the Spider-Verse, they say it's been about a year.
Yeah, it's about a year.
But there's that moment Into the Spider-Verse where he's laying in his bed and you kind of see the lights of the portal opening up above him. They somewhat recreate that moment in Across the Spider-Verse, but it's somewhat different. It's slightly different, like clothing and whatnot, slightly different. But like again, this is in the beginning of the movie, so I noticed it like when he had his headphones on and everything. Like I just went, oh, this is where Gwen shows up.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah, so, but I do like the characters are still growing from where they were in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not like they repeat anything, kind of like personality quirks, or they haven't learned from their past mistakes or anything like that.
Right, it's not like it's a copy of the first movie.
Yes, exactly. Like it really does build, because now it's not just one universe, but we're seeing multiple different universes.
Mm-hmm.
What did you want to talk about, Alex? Anything you want to mention really quick?
Yeah, no, I mean, I just like the overall art style of everything.
Yeah, I guess we could talk about that because I also have that in my notes. I really did like...
Coincidence, David.
I really did like the uniqueness of the art style. You know, because with Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse, I thought it was interesting how they really went against the grain of what was popular at that time of Pixar being super hyper realistic with their animations, and how Spider-Verse kind of goes against that, and they still go against that with this film, going harder on the animation, like more cartoony animations.
Yeah.
Right, and how each because it's not this is not a spoiler for sure because you see it in the trailers, but when you see all the other Spider people that are part of the quote-unquote Spider Society, when you see all of them there, they all have their own unique art style.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Yeah. So, but I will say, I don't know if it's just because of me, I watch a lot of animations. I like cartoons that are on Netflix and whatnot too. I do feel sometimes, not for our main characters, but for some of the minor Spider people, their animation style felt a bit cheap.
I mean, yeah, I can see
you know,
that.
Like because you're turning a 2D animation to 3D.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and I mean by literally, they are taking 2D characters and trying to make them look 3D. And to me, watching that, it just kind of it felt a bit cheap. It made me think of like a Netflix budget cartoon or like a television budget 3D animation cartoon budget.
Sure, and I mean, it must be really hard too, keeping that the similar art style in a 3D space.
Yeah, I mean, it also makes sense because this movie did postpone it a couple times, and I think it's because they're trying to get the characters' animation styles right.
Yeah, and for them being minor, they only have like really a couple minutes of screen time.
Yeah, that's true.
So it doesn't matter.
I did like the Easter eggs that they had throughout the film.
Oh,
that was
Easter
enjoyable.
Eggs.
Yeah,
that was great.
I like that little. You kind of see it like they didn't even hint at it. They made it very noticeable. Like for example, PS4 Spider-Man.
Yeah.
When he pops up, they have that little bar on top. It says Sony Spider-Man or something like that.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so they let you know. I don't know how many more I should talk about. That's just one Easter egg that I'm going to mention because right now we are doing non-spoilers. Because if I mention anything else, it will be a spoiler. Because I feel like with the PS4 Spider-Man, it's more so because it was already everywhere on the news.
Right, yeah.
So that will be. I'll only mention that for now. We'll talk about it once we get into the spoiler video. Not podcast too. The part of the podcast we'll mention when we're going to start talking about spoilers, so everyone knows. Yeah. I will also say I like the soundtrack, but I also feel like the soundtrack was not as good as Into the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
It's more so just because the music isn't like it's not playing in my mind, like how Into the Spider-Verse was. So for me, at least, I thought it was good. But if you had asked me right now to reference any of the songs, I wouldn't know what to say.
That's fair. I mean, I don't really have any. I didn't really notice any either Spider Across the Spiderverse or Into the Spiderverse soundtrack.
Oh, you didn't notice Into the Spider-Verse soundtrack?
Well, I mean, as in, I just can't remember any of them.
Oh, I like, for example, Into the Spider-Verse soundtrack. I remember they had what is the name of the song? What's Up, Danger? When he finally puts on the suit and he jumps off the building.
I don't know. It's been a while.
There's also the Post Malone song.
Oh, that's true.
You know,
that's true.
I feel like with Into the Spider-Verse, it's peppered in very well to make the songs memorable. Whereas, at least for Across the Spider-Verse, again, I've seen it twice already, and I still can't say I remember any of the songs.
That's a good point.
But yeah, that's just something I wanted to mention, just to put it out there, you know. And then I guess before we actually get into spoilers, the last thing we could mention is the trailer is a bit misleading on who it's a bit misleading on the villain.
Mm-hmm. I mean, as a trailer should be.
It's not, because the trailer is technically not wrong, but it's also not right. It makes you think one thing, but it kind of flips it. It's so hard to dance around everything to not spoil anything.
It really is. But I mean, at least with the trailer, what that's going for, they're probably just not wanting to showcase the whole storyline.
Oh, before we get into spoilers, I wanted to mention, I really liked the dynamic between Miles Morales and Gwen Stacy. I thought that was great. Yeah. It was nice to see, especially Miles being older. I mean, he's not that much older. He's a year older now, but just seeing that friendship, that kinship between the two develop. I also like Peter B. Parker. Seeing him back again was great also. And also, it's not a spoiler because it's in the trailer. He has a kid. So that was funny to see. Yeah. Miguel O'Hara, I will say, it's weird because people say, like, I've been seeing comments everywhere. People are calling him, like, quote unquote, a daddy. And I'm just like, the guy's kind of a dick. But we can go into details on that later.
Yeah.
But, you know,
the spoiler review.
Kind of a dick. And so I don't know why people are like, I don't know if they're finding him attractive because of how he looks or if it's like his personality, but yeah. And yeah, I guess, do you want to go into spoilers?
Might as well.
All right, so if you're listening, anything we talk about after this is basically spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, I would recommend pausing this podcast here and
just stop it completely.
Yeah, just stop it and come back later once you've seen the movie. Well, actually, I guess we can, because we normally would talk about what we would rate the movie and whatnot, but I guess we can save that till after our spoilers.
Yeah, so you have to come back for that or just skip to the end.
But I guess before we do that, would you recommend this movie?
Definitely.
I mean, I've seen it twice, so I think I'd recommend it. But yeah, so if you haven't seen this movie right now and you don't want to hear any of the spoilers, probably should log off here. Or not log off. What's the word? What's the word? Yeah, sign out here or pause the podcast here and go watch it when you have the chance to come back and listen to us. Yes. But yeah, I guess we can start talking about spoilers. So one thing I wanted to mention was it's interesting how each character retains their unique art style, which is, do you remember that moment in the end of Into the Spider-Verse when Miguel O'Hara goes into like 1969 Spider-Man's universe or something like that? At the end, he goes into the other universe and they do that little pointing thing.
No, actually don't.
You don't? Into the Spider-Verse with Miguel at the end, the after credit scene.
I'm drawing a blank on that one.
Oh man, yeah. So there's a moment where he goes at the end of Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
He goes into Miguel's like, let's start it over one last time, and he goes. I guess this is when he starts building his Spider Society. And he meets 1969 Spider-Man, and they have that little meme of like pointing at each other because the 1969 Spider-Man's like, "Who are you?" And he starts pointing. He's like, "What?" He's like, "Oh, stop pointing." He's like, "Stop pointing at me." And he's like, "No, you're the one that's pointing."
Wait, are you talking about
Into the Spider-Verse?
Yeah.
Into the Spider-Verse, the first one.
The first one. Okay. That's why I thought. Okay.
No, I said Into the Spider-Verse.
Sorry. Bro, I'm so tired.
So when he goes into that universe, with 1969 Spider-Man, Miguel O'Hara is in that style of 1969. Like, he looks like that cartoon style.
Yeah.
Whereas I noticed here, they changed it now where you keep your unique style. Like Spider-Punk, when he shows up.
Oh, yeah.
He's in his own... He doesn't conform to the style of New Mumbattan Spider-Man. I forgot the name of the city, but it's very like Indian inspired. He doesn't take that style. He just keeps his same unique style that kind of goes black and white at times and is very colorful at other times.
Yeah, it's very punk.
Yeah, so that was one thing that I really noticed. I also like that every character, like their universe, kind of has its own uniqueness to it. Like Gwen Stacy's was very color. Like Gwen's it would go white behind her, and she's like in color, right? Yeah. Very comic booky. Or there'd be a lot of watercolors too in Gwen's universe, which I thought it was pretty cool to see. I liked the beginning, when she starts fighting the vulture, the Italian vulture.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, it was cool to see, and it was also like, it was interesting to see, like, even she points out, like, oh, you're made out of paper mache. You look like you're made out of paper mache.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to mention. Anything you wanted to mention on that?
No, I mean, like, when you said each character keeps their own unique style, even the items that they leave behind,
yes,
the exact same style.
Yeah, that's true. Another thing was, so I guess we can talk about it now since we're in the spoiler section of it.
Spoiler. But
I did like how the trailer made you think that Miguel O'Hara was like the villain to a degree. Yeah, right. And they made the Spot seem like he's just a villain of the week. And that like they literally mentioned that he is, like, they made fun of him saying he's kind of like villain of the week or whatnot, or he's not even good enough to be villain of the week. Yeah. Right?
Like low tier.
And the Spot basically goes into like an anime arc where he gets inspired to become more powerful. Yep. And he basically gains the ability to jump through universes.
Jump through spots.
Yeah, so he becomes like one of their more powerful villains that they've had to deal with. Which, watching it, I was also thinking to myself, like, this is so confusing because there'd be moments where, like, they try to punch him and they end up punching through one of his holes. And when I say holes, because he literally, like, has freaking holes on his body that he would just use to open portals and whatnot. Yeah, so the Spot, I think, in the end, was a good villain. It will be interesting to see what happens because the movie itself ends in a cliffhanger.
Which is great.
It also...
Because there's a third one coming.
Because in the end of the movie, Miles finds out about this thing called canon events, right? It's basically something that happens to every Spider-Man. I wouldn't say they have to accept it per se, but it's more so it's something that happens in their lives that leads them all essentially down a similar path. Yeah. And for Miles... so before we get into that, so one thing for Miles was already him losing his uncle, Uncle Aaron, and then with another thing that they mentioned, which is what kind of starts off this huge manhunt for him, is that every police captain that becomes close to you dies. Yep. and there's nothing you can do to save them. But Miles doesn't believe in that philosophy because he believes that if there's a chance, you should take it. But Miguel is different in this belief because he said he said if you mess with the multiverse, it basically destroys that universe. Right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, like if you don't let the canon event happen, that universe will get destroyed.
So, but it's kind of weird because so there's a part in the movie where we're in new. Do you know what it's called? Can you let's look it up really quick. Yeah. I'm gonna look it up really quick. Okay, so it's called New Mumbattan. Yeah. Okay, so New Mumbattan. When they're there, the police chief his daughter in this universe is dating the Spider-Man of New Mumbattan, right?
Yeah.
So because of this, his fate is basically he is going to die. And there's a moment in the movie where Gwen gets a notification on her wristband watch thing saying that a canon event is about to happen. So tread carefully, right? And she tries to stop Miles from saving the police chief. She fails. He saves the police chief, and then suddenly the universe starts kind of breaking apart. But the way it breaks apart is very different from what happened to Miguel O'Hara, I think. Because do you remember when it starts, it's like spots at the bottom starts growing, and they had to come in and try to stop. Like they sent more spider people in to try to contain it. Mm-hmm. But when you rewatch Miguel O'Hara's whole moment, the way it just seems more like people are being deleted out of a computer.
Maybe it's different events, different times.
Because they're saying it's a canon event that's gonna if you go against the canon event that destroys the universe. So for a part of me is wondering if Miguel O'Hara is trying to see something that's not there.
Maybe.
Because what it looked like in New Mumbattan at the end when they left that universe, it looks like whatever is happening there is due to the spot, not because of some going against some canon event on the web.
Honestly, I thought the same thing.
Yeah, so that's something I wanted to mention just because, Miguel O'Hara is kind of a dick.
Yeah, I mean, he's really just, yes, it's not sugarcoating it.
Yeah, because he basically tries to stop Miles from saving his dad, saving Miles Morales' dad, Officer Morales, and he ends up telling Miles, which leads into another thing that we were going to mention, that he himself is a what's the word that he used? He's an anomaly. He's an anomaly because they mentioned the spider that bit him is actually not even from his universe, which we already learned this because the Spot had mentioned that his origins is due to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Right? Because he was the guy that got hit with the bagel. Yeah, so he was the guy in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the first one. He was the guy that at the lab when Miles and Peter Parker were trying to steal the computer, he was the guy that got smacked in the face with the bagel. He got smacked in the face with the bagel, and then he was also there when the reactor got destroyed, and somehow that created some explosion in his office or lab, wherever he was at experimenting, and it caused his body to look like a cow. Yeah, so
well, I mean, it just caused his body to be all white with black spots.
Yeah, again, like a cow.
Yeah, but if you say a cow, people are going to picture a cow shape, not the coloring.
I guess, but yeah, so we already knew this, that the spider that bit him was from a different universe because the Spot had mentioned that, the spider that bit you is because I was running tests and we got a spider from a different universe, and it found Miles and it bit him. So when Miguel mentions that he's an anomaly and that he should never have happened, I'm just like, oh, that makes sense because there's no other spider people here. Other Miles Morales is here. He's the only Miles Morales. He doesn't have a name that sounds similar to Peter Parker, or he's not a clone of Peter Parker. He's just Miles.
Yeah, it's pretty trippy.
Yeah, Miles is able to escape. He is able to get shot back to what we assumed was his universe. But when he got shot back, did you think he was back home, or did you think he was in a different universe?
No, I thought he was back home.
I I actually assumed he was in a different universe because I saw on the computer before they shot him back, it said Earth 42 or 24 or something like that, like the number of the spider. So I was like, wait, that's the spider number. That's the universe that's from. That's not Miles.
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't get that connection.
Yeah, I will say though, kind of going back to Miguel O'Hara, the man is scary.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, especially when he's chasing after Miles and everything. He has some anger issues, but again, he did destroy a universe, so I guess I'm not saying it's okay, but yeah, he is very stressed.
I mean, he's just doing it for the greater good.
I like that Gwen calls that out, you know, because of Miles' actions, Gwen loses her right, I guess the word is, right to be with the spider people, with the Spider Society, and so they send her back, and before she gets sent back, she says, we're supposed to be the good guys. And then when she gets sent back to her universe, I remember Miguel just turns around and he's like, we are. I'm like, I don't know, man. Yeah, right. Your actions tell me different.
Yeah, I'm just like, I mean, that's good intentions.
Yeah.
Bad execution.
Agreed. I guess we could talk about really quickly like some of the Easter eggs that they had in the movie. So Childish Gambino, Donald Glover. He basically had a cameo as
Prowler.
Yeah, the Prowler, right? Prowler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he basically has a cameo as a Prowler. So we get to see Donald Glover there as the Prowler, like just sitting there in his little prison. So I had to look this up. Do you remember this is in Spider-Man No Way Home? There's Donald Glover there.
Yeah.
Or not No Way Home, in Homecoming. His character is Aaron.
Yeah, I know.
In Homecoming.
Yeah, because he was like, make the streets safe again. For my nephew.
Yeah. So
that was crazy.
I was like, wait, is this the same?
Yeah.
Like Uncle Aaron then from Homecoming?
Yeah.
You know? So that was cool.
Oh,
I also like that. Yeah, I also like that they mentioned Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
That was great.
You know, what do you say? He was like, he's like, don't even talk to me about Doctor Strange and that little nerd from 1999.
Dude, that was great.
I am kind of sad that we didn't get to see Nicolas Cage's Spider-Man Noir, you know.
Well, we didn't get to see him speak.
True. I mean, okay, at the end, there's that little scene where Gwen basically builds her own team to try to find Miles, and one of the people in the team is Spider-Noir, but again, he didn't say anything, so I like his lines into the Spider-Verse, you know? Do you remember that scene where Into the Spider-Verse where like when all the villains show up at Aunt May's house, he's like we don't pick the ballroom or something, we just dance.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, so it's like those moments I liked. I thought it was interesting when they showed, the canon events from all the other Spider-Mans.
Oh yeah, that was like a movie reel.
Yeah, they showed the actual clip from Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man when Captain Stacy dies, and they also showed Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man when Uncle Ben dies. Like they kind of
that was wild.
It was cool to see, but I will say it was so if they ever did merge, like get the live action Spider-Mans too, like to be in the movie, I feel like it would look very cheap to have them interacting with cartoons, which is why I'm kind of bummed that they didn't. At least if they go to another universe, I would have liked if they like kept that same style, like they adapted the style to whatever universe they're in, rather than just maintaining their style. If they are just in the like Miguel O'Hara's, Spider Society, if they maintain their real, live actionness there, I'd be fine with. But if you bring them over to like, let's say Miguel's universe or Peter B. Parker's universe, I would like that they had adapted to that art style rather than just keeping themselves, the same.
Well, I mean, they've done that pretty good in other movies like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Space Jam, first one, and in this one they did okay with Danny Glover. Donald Glover.
But the thing with Danny Glover, it was a small moment. I feel like
but
I don't know. I just feel like when I see live action, like Who Framed Roger Rabbit was unique for its time and everything, but it was also a mix of real and fake, like real people and cartoons. It was like a mixed merge. But I'm saying if you take like Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire and put them in just a full on cartoon world, I feel like it'd be a bit jarring.
Well, okay, they did that with Brad Pitt. It's called Cool World.
Cool World?
Yeah.
Oh, it says here it's a live action black comedy fantasy film. It didn't do well though in theaters. It has a 4% rating by Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, but they've done it before.
No, it's been done.
It seemed okay.
It's been done before, but I'm just saying, I think it would look a bit hokey. Like it would look more like it's just a kids' film.
I feel like they can do it well.
I mean, if they do it well, if you do anything well, it'd probably do well. But I'm just saying, I think off initial thoughts, it would be a little jarring to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, maybe they if they can figure out a way to make it work, they probably could. Was there anything else you wanted to mention? Because I've gone through the rest of my notes.
No, it's pretty much the same thing I had.
All right, cool. What? Okay, so what would you rate the movie then?
Honestly, it's a 9.
It's a 9. I'd give it an 8.5. I think 8.5 or a 9. I think it's just because after time passed, because it's been 3 weeks since we saw it.
Yeah.
I'm not on the hype train of it anymore. So now
Right.
I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I'd probably give it an 8.5 or a 9.
That's good.
Yeah, but yeah. Anything else you want to mention before we log off on this recording?
No, that was good.
All right. Yeah. If you like this podcast, click follow and like, subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, or actually if you're listening to this podcast, also follow us on YouTube.
Yeah.
We also have an Instagram.
We
It's
do.
at 3 Buds in a Movie, right?
So at us.
Is it at 3 Buds? I don't remember. I've gone in there a few times, but I don't really remember what the handle is.
David, you're our social media manager.
Well, originally it was supposed to be Bonnie Powell, okay? He hasn't done nothing.
Yeah. But where is he?
I don't know.
So you're in marketing, so that falls onto you.
But it should be Bonnie Powell because we're doing all the other work.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
software partying.
He's what?
Partying.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's 3 Buds in a Movie.
Okay. Yeah, follow us on Instagram at 3 Buds in a Movie. Yeah, I guess we'll talk to you guys next time when we review The Flash, which we have already seen. We just haven't had the time to record it yet.
Yeah. Yeah, so catch us on that one.
Yeah. All right. I guess we'll talk to you. We'll see you next time then. Peace.
See you next time around.